everyone, Westloar here, and today I am playing Infinity Wars, a free-to-play digital TCG, available now on Steam. I'm just going to put it out there as soon as I start the review. I haven't really played any of the digital TCGs, you know, like Hearthstone, stuff like that. I know it's very popular at the moment, but I can't compare that against this because I've never really played it. Having said that, I played Magic probably for about 10 years, a load of different board games in and around that as well, so it's not like I'm completely green behind the ears. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into a quick bot game so I'll explain how the mechanics work. So campaigns are the single player element of the game, and as you can see there's a campaign for each of the 7 factions, and there's also a colourless faction if you play Magic, you'll follow my drift. Okay, so let's click play. What deck do I want to use? Still got, yeah, that's my rush deck. Okay, here we go then. So let's explain this lot. So first of all, there's 2 statistics that allow you to survive or die. Those are health and morale. Now health you'll be fairly familiar with if you played any kind of card game before. Basically, this gets to 0, you die, and you've got 100 from it, and that's dealt by spells, damage from spells and damage from creatures. Over here is morale, which is a little different from card games that I've played before, and I really like it. It adds another kind of dimension and depth to the game. So what is morale? Well, if that gets to 0, you lose as well. So it's a bit like health, but how is it different? Now, here's my hand here, and you'll see I've got some creatures. So let's click on this kangaroo looking guy, also called a killaroo. So this is his resource cost. So how much he costs to play, and this is his morale cost. So when this guy dies, I lose 6 morale, and that's taken straight off here. So you know, losing lots of creatures quick is a good way to lose, and that's a really nice mechanic, and I'll get into quite how that affects the game a little later on. But suffice to say that it does kind of change the way you do things. You're not going to be hopelessly throwing defensive creatures in front of your opponent's enemies, because you know you're going to lose that way, as you might do in Magic. You know, throwing little 1/1 tokens and what have you just to block, because they block all the damage. You know, not as much of a viable tactic in Infinity Wars. Resources, it's worth talking about. So you start off with 1, and you get 1 more every turn, and there is no kind of multi-colour resources or anything like that. Everything is paid for with just the 1 resource here, which you see the big number for in the top right of these cards. Yeah, so you get 1 resource. There's also other ways to get resources. So if you look here, the trading post is really nice. You can use this at any time. You can shuffle hand into a deck and draw a new hand -1, the first game action only, so like a mulligan in Magic. You can pay 3 and shuffle a card from a hand into your deck and draw a card. Pay 5, draw a card. Pay 9, increase the base resources by 1. So if you've got up to 9 resources, you can spend them all to get an extra 1, etc. So you can do that whenever you like. That's a nice little mechanic there. So yeah, apart from that, you're going to be getting resources 1 at a time. Excuse me. Next thing we'll talk about is the play area here, and here. So you've got assault zone, a defense zone, and the same mirrored on your opponent's side. You can play creatures into either of these zones, and when you click end turn, they will attack and defend as appropriate. So what you might glean from that is actually turns happen simultaneously. You'll be planning your moves at the same time as your opponent, and once you both click end turn, then stuff happens. The best way to explain that is just to kind of do it. So let's end turn now. That brings life by passing, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my command zone here, which is really nice. Your command zone is 3 cards you pick on construction of the deck that will always appear here. What's really nice is if you have unique characters or characters with abilities, you don't actually have to play them. You don't have to play their resource cost. You can just pay their ability cost or what have you, which is really cool. It's a nice way to set up some nice kind of deck mechanics that you will always have. So I'm just going to play straight to the assault zone from the command zone, which you can only do from the command zone or if a card has a certain ability. Okay, so that's cost me my 2 resources. Now at the same time, my opponent will be planning to do stuff, but you cannot see movements of creatures or playing spells or what have you until you click end turn. And I've done 2 damage direct there, so he didn't actually do anything that turn. How much does this cost? 3. So he may well play a Beast of Burden this turn, which won't be nice because they're fairly nasty. Okay, what do I want to do now? Well, I'm going to play one of many, and you'll notice this guy's gone into the support zone, and he's also red. So creatures, as you normally play them from your hand, go into the support zone first, so they won't attack or defend. They can still be hurt by area of effect spells and direct damage spells and stuff, but they won't be affected by combat. And red means exhausted, which means he can't move into either zone, and also can't be used to pay for exhausted effects. So if we have a quick look here, pay 1, exhaust caretaker of the young and a beast character. So I couldn't choose my one of many I've just played for that, because it is already exhausted. Okay, so I'm going to end my turn again here. And you'll see there that he played that into his support zone. So now we both have a creature in the support zone. Cool, that's a unique character. Unique characters work similar to Magic in the sense that you can only have one in play. I'm not sure is if you both had them, that you could both have one, or you can only have one per table, if you like. I'm not sure. Right, so let's move him here, and you'll see why this is called the Rush deck very soon. So, let's do something that would seem very counterintuitive. I'm going to take both my creatures back from the combat zone by using that ability. And I'm going to end turn. I'm probably going to take a hit here. Yeah, I'm going to take 7 damage. Poof! We get another creature. Nice. But he's only a 4/4. Was that really worth it? Yes, and you'll see why now. Let's throw him in here, throw him in here, throw him in here. Actually, let's move him over here. The order in which they're actually stacked is very important, because that's the order in which they will attack. So, you know, you want to put your weakest creatures if they're in the attack zone towards the end, and the same with the defense zone as well. You might want to put your strongest creatures first so they do more damage to the first creatures. Right then, so I said it would be worth it. Why is it worth it? Well, I'm going to play this guy. Pack Leader. While in combat zone, other beasts you control get +3/+3. Nice. So let's play that and move it direct into the combat zone. My creatures have just suddenly got fairly beefy. And I would use that ability, but I don't have any resources, as you see. So let's swing in. I'm going to take 14 damage, but I'm doing damage at a much higher rate. There we go. So I'm not going to worry too much about defense as of yet. Right, so again, let's pump in there. Throw a second one in. You can see now why I've got 2 in my command zone. Give everyone else a further +3/+3. And I'm just going to caretaker of the young this guy. I'm still going to be doing like 40 odd damage this turn, so I'm alright. Oh, I'm over my maximum hand size. I've got to discard a card. Let's discard Killaroo. Ooh, ouch. That's nasty. Okay. But that's quite cool. Because that's going to show some neat mechanics. So actually I could lose now. But the problem is, if we carried on the way we are, we'd both lose. And so it would be a draw. So we need to get some defense going on here. So, let's throw you in there, you in there. There, there, you in there. Now, I've got a couple of options of what I can do here. Right, I think I know what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to cast Fight, which is quite a cool spell. And... Just trying to think what would be the best way of doing things. So I definitely want to kill that dude. If I kill that dude, I won't be damaging these as much as I need to. And these guys will still die. Interesting. Right, I think I know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to lose some guys this turn, but that's okay. I want to protect my pack leaders because they're the most important cards. They make everything more powerful. Now I should come out on top here, hopefully. Maybe not now. Okay, so you see how combat works now. So that ability is cast first. There we go. That's what I wanted to happen. Nice. It's almost like I planned it. Right then. Now it's worth talking about initiative. So if both players play simultaneously, then how do you decide whose abilities and combats resolve first? Well, it's quite interesting and it's fairly simple. You'll notice at the top here, Territorial Beast, that name is currently in green. That's the AI. Okay, now if your name is in green, then you have the initiative and your stuff happens first. Okay, so you attack first, your spells resolve first. So it's worth taking that into account and noticing that and what have you. Cast stuff that you need to happen quickly when you have the initiative. It's that simple. Be aware when they have the initiative. Can you pull your stuff away from a combat zone to prevent spells from hitting, all that sort of stuff. If you'll know they're going to cast a damage spell, then perhaps you could cast a healing spell, which normally would heal your creature for nothing because, well, actually you haven't took any damage yet. But if you cast it when they have the initiative, your creature would take the damage and then you can heal it. So there's some quite nice mechanics there, and I should win this game now. Just about. I probably should have left something in there for defense just in case. But hey, I'm reckless. Okay, so that's the basics of it. That's the basics of gameplay there. Now, of course, there's many mechanics available to you depending on which faction you're playing. Of course, beasts tend just to be big and hit stuff, as is the way with beasts and green in most games. So let's talk about constructing decks and cards. Now, as I said, this is a free-to-play game and could easily have been pay to win, but let me tell you something, this is not. And I'll tell you why. These are all the cards I have. I got all of these for free. I did not pay a penny. This game is very, very generous with its cards. Every time you're completing a campaign mission, every time you're reaching certain milestones, such as leveling up with a faction. Here we go. I'll bring this up here. You can see here, depending on how many missions you complete on the campaign, you level up with factions there. So every time you do that, every time you level up, every time you reach milestones, all those sorts of things, the game just throws cards at your face, and they're decent cards as well a lot of the time. You know, some of them are fodder and what have you, but you need fodder too. So yeah, this is free to play and it's a good model. You can go out and buy booster packs, but you don't necessarily need to. So, how do we construct a deck? Well, let's make a new one. We call it Test. Now, which faction do we want to play? I don't have many of those cards, or many of those cards. Okay, so let's make a dragon deck. Defense of the Dragon, sorry. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to select your commanders, and there needs to be one commander for each colour type. So for instance, if I want one of these guys, one of these dragon guys, I need a commander from this set, and that has to be a creature. It can't just be you know, like an item or a location or what have you. Okay, so I've actually got some really nice commanders. So this one, pay 1, remove a character card from your graveyard, create a free flying spirit character. That is awesome. It's saved my ass so many times. This guy is equally awesome. Pay 4, exhaust, all characters take 4 damage, wipe the board. And you're going to go, why is that great? The reason that's great is because, look at this, 8 health for 2 resource. That's why it's great. These cards have a whole ton of defense. And is there one? There we go. There's the combination right there. Pay 3, exhaust, all character you control get +0, +3. So you heal all your characters. cast that, boom. Any creatures that die, cast that, and you get them back as free spirits. It's awesome. So Defenders of the Dragon, these are a little different from the beasts that you just saw. They focus on morale, having high morale and making your opponents lose morale. Okay, so for instance, this guy, if Invincible Defender is dealt combat damage but survives, the player that dealt damage loses 4 morale. And as he has fairly high health, especially for early in the game, that's going to happen a lot. So even if their creatures don't die, as long as this guy survives, they're going to be losing morale. So that's really cool. Now you notice this also has the unlimited type. Okay. Now generally speaking, when you build a deck, you can only have 3 of any card. Unlimited, you can have as many as you like, and there's an unlimited type for each faction. So for instance, beasts, you saw them already. One of many, an apt name. Genesis, we have, if I can find it, Unending Drone, which is a lot like Mia from Mercraft. Mercraft? What the hell am I talking about? Magic. I've just been playing Minecraft, leave me alone. Right, so let's throw in these guys. We want them to be losing morale and their fodder. And most of our deck is going to be made out of unlimited characters, at least to start with. Okay, so what else do we want? These guys are awesome. Power and toughness equal to the remaining health. Okay. Let's have some of these guys. Definitely want him. He's cool. When it comes into play, all your characters take half damage. Want this guy. When an opponent loses morale this turn, they lose 4 extra morale. So we'll throw 2 of those in. All characters get +0/+3, and everything takes 4 damage. I don't like that location. It's like a really cool kind of flavour to it. Basically, you keep exhausting characters, you get 2% each time, 100% you win the game. But that's just not going to happen. So we'll have him because he's a zombie monk, and you know, zombies. Have a couple of him to play first turn. How many have I got? 32. Okay, so I need 40. Have a couple of flyers there. Have this guy to sit in the ranks and boost himself up. A couple of him just for early game. Again, early game. I need one more. Who do I want? Let's have an extra flyer. And there we go. We've got 40 card deck. Save it. Done. And you can now play with that. So if I wanted to have beasts in there as well, I'd have to swap this guy out and put someone like him in or anything like that. Okay, so there are other game types, so let's quickly run through them. So you can play against bots, pre-made, so they have the same deck every time. Academy, basic, intermediate, advanced, which teaches you how to play, and also you get rewards for completing individual missions and entire books. And there's a challenge at the end of each of those that are actually fairly difficult. You've then got player versus player, which is constructed, and draft. Wow, what happened there? Okay, so constructed normal play, so play with decks of your choice. Rank, play against the most worthy opponents in Infinity Wars to prove yourself against the best. So my decks aren't really ready for rank play, so these are going to be people who have really sorted out their decks. They've got everything down to a T, and they've probably spent a fair amount of money on booster packs and done some trading and what have you. There is another way to obtain decent cards, and that is through draft. Okay, now this is bugged out at the moment. I don't know why this is doing this. I've got to pick from one of these, so let's see what I've got already. Probably going to want that lightning blast damage about. There we go. So right, it's sorted itself out now. So draft is really interesting. Basically, you pick your commanders to start off with, and then basically you've got to pick 40 cards from those. So it's really cool. Now you don't get to keep the cards after you finish unless you pay for them, but you can use free to play money to do that as well, which the game is fairly generous with, and it's a good job because it costs 1,000 in free money to actually play a draft in the first place. Depending on how many wins you get, you actually get more and higher rewards. Even if you just lose all 3 of those straight up and don't win any, I received approximately 200 back, so you get, you know, a fifth of the cost back, which is not too bad for not winning anything. So yeah, draft is a really nice game type, and I'm glad of its addition. So it's not all, you know, honey and bunny rabbits. I do have some issues with the game. Let's play this, and I'm going to play my Bushido deck. Okay, so one of my issues with the game, well, in some ways they're kind of academic. You know, this is a beta, so there are going to be bugs, but there are some freaking huge bugs, like that draft one there and everything was appearing over each other. That's a huge bug. But even bigger than that, I often have problems connecting, so I had to close the game and reopen it 4 times to let me record this video before I could connect properly. That is not cool. That is not how things should be. This is a beta, not an alpha. Those are alpha problems, okay? This is an online card game. I should be able to go online when I want to go online. That is a huge problem. There's been times when I've been doing draft and it's took maybe 20 seconds or more between card picks. I've got to pick 40 cards. If I'm waiting that long, that is an incredible amount of time. And it's not cool. There are some other huge game breaking bugs. So for instance, in options, you've got restart. Now I'm not going to click it now. The reason being, last time I clicked that, it took me to a blank game match screen thing. I don't really know how to describe it. And I couldn't quit it. It just stuck there. The game didn't freeze. I couldn't do anything. And nothing was happening. So that was fairly bad. That was fairly bad, to be honest. So, yeah, not great. But apart from that, it's a really good game. It's got some nice mechanics. As I said, I really like the introduction of morale as well. I like the way the game is structured with the command units and being able to use those, which I'm probably going to make use of now. How much mana have I got? That's needs 3. Oh, what's gone on here? Oh, have I crashed it? No, I haven't. Okay. He is 4. I can't quite do both in the same turn yet. That's alright. That's why, well, not why the board. Let's do a fair amount of damage to the opponent. Okay, now none of my creatures are going to die. He's going to lose that guy. That's going to take 4 damage, and everything in his command zone is going to take 4 damage as well. I'm not going to play this creature because that's going to take 4 damage, so I wouldn't bother doing that. So, is it worth investing your time? Yes. As I say, it's very fun. It's different. There's a lot of nuance to deck construction and what have you. I just plain straight up like it, to be honest. I really do. I've probably spent about 12 hours in it so far, and I'm going to continue to do so because, you know, matches are quick, they're punchy. Although there are some fairly complex mechanics, there's nothing that's going to screw your head over. And there's some nice synergies you can set up between factions as well. So yeah, I recommend it. I think you should try it out. Okay, so this is Westloar over and out. I'm not going to talk anymore. Just try it out. It's free. You don't really have any excuse. If you like card games, if anything else, it's just an interesting reiteration of the genre, and you should try it just for that. Because, you know, if you're like me, I'm the kind of guy who will go out and try those obscure TCGs. I don't know if anyone watching has ever played Hecatomb or even ever heard of it. I played that. It was awesome. You had like these hexagonal tiles that slotted onto each other and stuff. Yeah, so I play those. So, you know, just to see the game, just to try it out, it's worth doing. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to talk no more. This is Westloar, over and out.